Well, hello you gorgeous mother truckers, and welcome to another video. Right then, so I've just a quick video just reflecting on the fact that Keir Starmer hasn't exactly said anything about the Supreme Court ruling. Well, let's just delve into that a little bit more because using one of the articles we can discuss it a little bit better and sort of get a little bit more of a insight onto something that seems to be rumbling along in the background, which, let's be brutally honest, will rip asunder the Labour Party, potentially. But then again, how many times have we thought that's going to happen and it hasn't? But in any case, let's bring it up. So, this is from The Unheard, and it was produced today at 8 a.m. I'm recording this at about 10:30 on the same night. So, for me, unusually, I'm sort of on the ball with this one. Any case, so let's just go through what it says. So, the backlash has begun. It's happening up and down the country, where thousands of trans activists raged at the weekend against last week's Supreme Court judgment. London then carried placards and threatened to kill TERFs, urinated on a statue of the suffragette Millicent Fawcett, daubed it with the slogan "Fag Rights." In Sheffield, a small group of women had to be protected by police from an angry mob of trans activists. Now, the stuff that happened in London, the Metropolitan Police are screaming for people, if they've got any video of it, to come forward with that video. But usually, you go there and you video, you're most likely to be arrested by the same said police for videoing it. And it's amazing how they can grab anyone when it's far right, but when it's a trans protest or a free plasticine one, apparently they can't do anything or see anything. Funny that, but and we'll wait and see if anything actually comes of it. But there's also something going on behind the scenes. Yesterday's Mail on Sunday has revealed that the government minister secretly condemned the ruling in a WhatsApp group and plotted to challenge it. Labour MPs specifically attacked Baroness Faulkner, the chair of Equality and Human Rights Commission, which is due to issue new guidance this summer on the court's common sense ruling that sex means biological sex. Now, this is very true. And once that comes out, it's out. Now, if Labour and some ministers are plotting to try and ignore a Supreme Court justice ruling, very, very dangerous and dodgy ground. And yet again will be another example of where this government will attack anything, including free speech and even the law, when it doesn't quite go the way they want it to. Faulkner has correctly interpreted the judgment to mean that men who claim to be women cannot use single-sex bases or compete against female athletes at sporting events. Pure common sense logic there. But of course, we don't live in logic world anymore. We live in clown world fantasy land where unicorns can piss on you from a great height. But when a Labour MP in a WhatsApp group described Faulkner's response as pretty appalling, Culture Minister, where's he gone? We'll go from but when a Labour MP in 3, 2, 1. But when a Labour MP in a WhatsApp group described Faulkner's response as pretty appalling, and Culture Minister Sir Chris, I like to post pictures of myself on the internet in just my underpants, Bryant, and why he'd be against it, replied that he agreed. What, with that many E's? Agreed. A Home Office Minister, Dame Angela Eagle, suggested they should seek a meeting ASAP with the relevant Equality Minister. Now, you see, this is the activists in the government, those who only care about themselves and minority groups. And when I mean by minority groups, I genuinely mean minority groups. As I said in the previous video, there are people who do have genuine gender dysphoria. They go through all the relevant things and they get that. And they just, once they're done, they just want to be left alone. And that's absolutely fine. But it's the activists, the blokes 3 times heavier than me with beards who say they're women. That's the problem. So, in this high-level attempt to defy a definitive legal judgment, casts new light on Keir Starmer's silence. Bryant and Eagle are patrons of the LGBT plus Labour. Surprise, surprise, which now lists more than 50 MPs. 10 Labour peers as patrons. 4 years ago, the group began to harass the Labour MP Rosie Duffield, demanding an apology and reparations, as she liked to tweet, stating that only women have a cervix. Now, you see, this is the problem we have. This is when I keep saying that we don't live in reality world anymore, in common sense world. We live in unicorn pissing from a great height world, where people in positions of power have decided that they want to just trundle along with the next lunatic fringe thing. We have the government actively protecting boglims, and we also now have them actively protecting and denying actual science and actual Supreme Court rulings because it doesn't suit them. You have to remember this. This is the world that we live in. These are our dictators. Those who will let you free if you're a minority, but say hurty words on the internet, and you're in prison. Since then, the influence of the pressure group has grown considerably. Yeah, because everybody's scared of turning around and saying, no, you're a fucking lunatic. Following last year's general election, new MPs flocked to join and now several ministers as patrons. Now, these will be the people who will jump on the bandwagon because they are, like many of these left waffle lunatics, offended on behalf of people without actually asking. And it is so much better. You see, I've always gone with Spock's logic. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. But these idiots think that the needs of the one are vastly more important than everybody else. And they jump on it because they genuinely think it makes them look good. So we have Health Secretary Wes Streeting, Science and Technology Secretary Peter Kyle, and the Junior Health Minister Ashley Dalton. Their views on Supreme Court judgments are not known, although Streeting has accepted that data on biological sex is vital for patient safety in the NHS. Well, of course it is. Trans people have not lost, and important this is, trans people have not lost a single right in this country. What they don't have, and never had, despite claims of activists, is the right to be treated as biological women. The hysterical response to the judgment is a cry of pure fury, an echo of every time an entitled man has heard the word no, and that makes it an exceedingly dangerous moment for women. And this is the biggest thing. I have continually asked, every time I see somebody go, trans rights are human rights, I have asked on multiple occasions, what rights have either been denied or removed from you? And they never answer because they never have been. This is the insanity that we're dealing with. Because a self-entitled idiot, a mental health issued patient, doesn't like being told no. These narcissists hate being told no. 90%, in fact, I would say 99% of people who call themselves trans are doing it because it's a pay attention to me and nothing else. And this is purely and ably demonstrated by the protests that there have been, where they're all going, we can go in toilets, you can't stop us. This is nothing to do with them wanting to be a woman, and everything to them for them to be the narcissistic dickhead that they actually are. It's as simple as that. As a former prosecutor, Starmer should know this perfectly well. The most dangerous moment in a woman's life is when she stands up to an abusive man. Trans activists have nowhere to go except the streets, and some of them appear to be itching for a confrontation. And it is clear that someone could, I won't say could, will get seriously hurt, because you are doing what we do best in this world, the country especially, is where we will pander to absolute raving lunatics and let them get away with stuff so they become more and more emboldened until they do something really stupid. And even then, you'll protect them. We can see it with the Boglims. You can see it now with the trans people. It is a dangerous thing. We are heading down a very, very dangerous path that I don't think anyone really wants to go down, but we are enabling it by the way that we behave. Or should we say, the way that government, police, and the justice and the media behave in giving these absolute raging lunatics a platform. The Prime Minister has, in the past, been quick to denounce public disorder. Of course. Now, if this had been these demonstrations with signs of, they were asking for J.K. Rowling to be, hold on, I've got to be careful here, be deleted, because I can't say the other words, because YouTube, demonstrated and destroyed things, actually said that their whole life is to go punch, the German N word, not the other N word, but the German N words. You know what I mean? You know where I'm coming from. See, I have to be careful because of YouTube. They're hammering me as it is. Got to be even more careful. Then these people would have been, and if it's just been like you or I out protesting the fact that we don't like drag artists reading books to our little children, and we don't particularly like gangs of predominantly Asian men raping our children, we would be arrested and put into prison. And this is the problem. But the sight of women being shouted at by thugs with trans flag appears not to have moved him at all. And we saw this with the Southport riots, where police would stand with their backs to the Boglims, protect the Boglims house of worship, tell the Boglims to go put their weapons back in their house of worship. The second you set a bin on fire, or, God forbid, yell abuse at a police dog, and you're in prison for up to 3 years, some people even longer. We have the case of Lucy Connolly, remember? Now, she's still in prison now because she made a heat-of-the-moment statement, which she then regretted and deleted immediately, but she's in prison. And there's going to be more examples on my channel of this two-tier justice system that we have at the moment. Keir Starling has said nothing about this judgment. Nothing at all. Now, I mentioned this to Mrs. G. Mrs. G said, well, isn't he on holiday? It's irrelevant. He's the Prime Minister. Now, his silence to me says that he's plotting to get rid of it. Isn't it funny how the ECHR is the bastion of everything right up to the moment when it doesn't go the way they want it to, and now it's an issue? Not only is there this silence, but there's this undertow, permanent undertow of this government to only do what it wants to do. And if you are not going to toe the line, they are going to punish you. If you do it as a parliamentary MP, you don't do as you are told, you are removed from the party. If you are a supreme judge who makes a ruling, then there's going to be an issue. If you don't like the fact that there are now thousands of illegal men in your area who are causing problems, and you go and say something about that, you'll get put in prison. If you will put on X or Facebook that you don't like the fact that schoolgirls are being chased back home from school, and every school in your neighbourhood has had to put warning signs, don't walk home at home, and you moan about that on those social media platforms, there's a good chance you're going to get the knock at the door and you're going to get arrested. And there will be more examples coming on the channel. Sit on YouTube and you tell these things. And you wait for the knock on the door. As I mentioned in that same video about Starmer, right-wing channels are getting absolutely hammered by censorship of YouTube and Google. By the way, the same Google that didn't change the Google logo for Easter, but has for everybody else's thing. We see you. More on that later. Any case, 2 videos coming up at the end of this. One will be the last one I uploaded. The other one will be the one that the gods of YouTube, with its slightly warped algorithm, has picked just for you. Well, it'll probably try and pick the one that they want you to watch more than the one you need to watch. And if you want to watch these things and you want to see what else I've done on the channel, you just hit that magic subscribe button. Now, if you are subscribed, check, because I've already had a couple of subscribers tell me they've been unsubscribed, which would explain some of the drop in subscribers. You can like, you can share, you can have a go at trying to put a comment in it. Again, because you follow me, because you're commenting on my videos, I'm afraid that YouTube is doing what YouTube does best and picking and choosing which ones it thinks are okay. Try thinking outside the box. In certain words, try putting spaces in it so it knuckles up the algorithm. You have to think outside the box. Or as some people have said, just keep trying, because after the 3rd or 4th attempt, it may actually come up. I don't delete comments. I don't restrict comments. It's open for everybody. I'm a proponent of free speech, so you're allowed to say what you want to say. Unless, of course, we're talking actual racism, sexism, and, you know, calls for self-deletion, etc. And then you're most likely going to get that comment removed, and you really are going to get blocked, put in the playroom with the stickle bricks. Any case, enough of that one. I'm done. So, till the next one.
What the fuck is this?